it's just a lot to explain that it just gets so tiring after a while. But I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about my guilty pleasure. And some people don't know this about me, and I'm semi-embarrassed by it, but semi-not embarrassed by it. But I wouldn't say that I was like an emo kid, but I definitely got into the pop punk phase later in my life compared to those who were in it like when they were really young in like early middle school. Got into it like beginning of high school, which was like 2012, so it was kind of phasing out a little bit. I remember that like Fall Out Boy released its new album when they were on a hiatus. It was like Save Rock and Roll, I think. Yeah, anyway, because I've been going through such a transitional moment in my life, I have been feeling pretty lost, and I decided to submit to listening to music that I've been told is not cool, or well, not cool anymore, or things like that. And growing up, I was like the biggest, humongous Panic at the Disco fan, and nowadays I'm not really a big fan, mainly because it's been modernized so much. So yeah, let me adjust. I'm feeling the need to adjust. Okay, I feel like this could be a little bit better. So, yeah, but I guess this is not a familiar topic to most people. So let me give like a 30-second rundown. So, Panic at the Disco. Original member, Brendan, not original member, but basically when they were famous, it had like Brendan Urie, Ryan Ross, and two other people that I'm forgetting. Sorry. So Brendan Urie was main vocals, and Ryan Ross was like one of the people who formed the band, who I believe was the bassist. And so, oh my god, I'm getting distracted. So they created 2 albums, and I guess a lot of what they made was Ryan Ross's image, and they decided to go their separate ways because of creative differences, I guess. So then Brendan Urie and the drummer like continued with the Panic at the Disco brand and created a new album, Vices and Virtues, which you can definitely tell was very different from their past 2 albums, which the best way I could describe them are like masterpieces, honestly, because as a musician, I really enjoyed the craftsmanship and the different layers that was in their music, and I don't know, it just screamed pop punk to me. So yeah, this new album, Vices and Virtues, came out. I don't think it did too well, but it was still a good album nonetheless. It still had it definitely had more of a it's still Panic at the Disco because now to when the band was first, created, the sound is so different that it's not really Panic at the Disco anymore. It's just Brendan Urie. So then another album came out, which is the Too Weird to Live album, and it was kind of like a devotion to Las Vegas. That's where Brendan Urie is from. And so the album honestly was not that good. There were like 3 bangers, honestly, but you could definitely tell that he was still trying to find his sound, and he definitely found his sound with the next album after that, which was Death of a Bachelor, which honestly is probably one of his best works. And with that album, you could definitely get the sense of like old Panic vibes, because it definitely was more pop, but it had the layers, it had lyrics that were like lyrics that were at a higher level, that weren't just like mediocre, like elementary lyrics. The concepts were bigger. It was more adult, basically, like a Death of a Bachelor. Hello. So yeah, really, almost every song on that album is awesome. And it also it was still Las Vegas influenced, but it definitely had more of like the old, like 60s vibes. Like Frank Sinatra was a really large influence on the album. And then another album came out, which I honestly forget the name of. Pray for the Wicked, I think. And that's kind of like when things started going downhill again, because it definitely had some layers, but it was back to like the pop, like churning out single after single, nothing really of complex nature. And yeah, it just kind of seemed like he was trying to appease like record label things. I don't even know if he's still on a record label. It just seemed very pressed for time, and it just kind of seemed like he had to make something. So yeah, I'm not a big fan. And now he just released this new album, which again, Viva Las Vengeance, which is another devotion to Las Vegas. Like, how many times how many albums are going to be about Las Vegas? That's like 2.5 already. So, but one of the key things about this new album, I think it's getting a lot of criticism, but I think the main things that we can boil it down to is that there are a lot of songs on this album. It seems like a concept album, almost like it seems very American Idiot, Green Day-esque, where like it tells this larger story that could potentially be put into like a Broadway musical. And I feel like that's the vibe that he's going for, because I think during this time, I think he was very influenced with his run on Kinky Boots, the Broadway musical, and I do think his voice lends well to that. But he has this thing where he composes or creates a song that is so high in his vocal range and is really not sustainable for is on tour, all of the keys of the songs are lowered. So they're not at the original key, they are lowered, which I feel like is inauthentic, and I personally am just not a fan of, because I like the song in the original key. And I know keys are very important. If it's in a different key, the vibe is different. So there's that. Yeah, so in this album, it's just like sky high in his range, which like awesome for him to have that range, but he has to do it in a healthy way. It is not in a healthy way, and it kind of just seems like he's putting everything in the kitchen sink in this album, and it has layers. But you can't appreciate them as you could on Death of a Bachelor. So I'm having a lot of problems. Not problems, but just questions, and about the brand, about the music he's producing, things like that. However, like, I really enjoy his music. I really love speculating about his vocal technique, and I do think he's a very, very talented singer, but I think he sells out a lot of the time to get a single to make money. Like, he did a song from his second to last album for the music video, was like with a Muppet. Like, Muppets have been out, no longer relevant for so long, and it just didn't make sense to me. So yeah, I think next steps for him are like, just be Brendan Urie. Like, Panic at the Disco is not Panic at the Disco anymore, you know? And I mean, I think it's fine for bands and singers to evolve into different genres or different subject matter, but you still have to be authentic. And I think at this point